This is episode 55 of Sustainable Photography. And since we're reaching the end of the year, it's time to start talking about how you can get the most out of next year. You're listening to Sustainable Photography, where you get support and education to build your profitable business in a way that supports your way of living. I'm Ingvild Kolnes, and after 11 years as a photographer, I want to share what I've learned with you. So if you're looking for confidence, inspiration, and to the point tips, keep listening. For full transparency, I also want you to know that I'm a mentor with paid offers, and I might mention some of those in this episode. The best way you can get the most out of your time is planning. And please stay with me now, because what I'm about to share could save you a lot of time and get you closer to where you want to be. Not just in your business, but in general life as well. So, why plan? Okay, so there's something called the Pareto principle, and it states that about 80% of what happens comes from 20% of causes, which means that 80% of your bookings come from 20% of your sources. 80% of your reach in social media comes from 20% of your posts, and so on. So, if you know about that, and if you dig down into what is working for you and what is really happening in your business, that means that you can know what to focus on going forward. So, you're choosing the things that you're getting the most out of. Basically, you'll stop wasting time because you stop doing the things that there's really no point in doing, the things that are just keeping us busy. Because I bet that right now you're doing a lot of stuff and you're keeping very busy because you just think you have to do it. You're so used to doing it, you think you have to do it, and you've never really checked to see if it's actually working or not. And this is so common, everyone does it. But if you become aware of it, then it's so much more likely that you'll do the right things and just stop doing the things that aren't really serving you at all. Keep in mind that you only have 24 hours a day like everyone else, and you can only do what you have time for. So, whatever you say yes to, you should get really intentional about that because every time you say yes, in effect, you're saying no to something else. And that something else might not be very obvious, but it could be anything from getting more sleep to having more time with your family to eating better. Those things that you're not in general saying yes to, they're just happening. But if you say yes to doing more shoots or shoots that you don't really want to do, if you're saying yes to doing all your own marketing, if you're saying yes to editing yourself, then in effect, you're saying no to other things you could spend that time doing, right? On October 31st, you can join the live workshop series called Create Your Best Year Yet. So, if you're feeling stuck, or you feel too busy, or that you're not yet in the place where you want to be in your life, or if you just want to plan out 2023 because you want to know what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, then you should join. So, to share more about how to plan, I'm actually going to take you through the 5 steps that are going to be in the workshop series. And if you want, you can sign up now to create more time for what matters most to you. Just go to ingvildkolnes.com/mini course. So, we start with talking about your values and what matters most to you. And once you know what your values are and what truly matters to you, it becomes so much easier for you to know what you should prioritize and actually create time for. Your values are something that is rooted deep inside of you, and it's kind of like a compass in your life. Your values might be anything from adventure to freedom to love or security. And if you are the kind of person who values security and then you're doing things that aren't secure at all, like for example, starting your own business, that can make you feel pretty insecure. Then to make sure that you're feeling your very best, you can put some structure to that and make sure that you're doing it in a way that makes you feel the most secure. And if your values are all about home life and family, and then you're booking adventure elopements on the other side of the country or in a different country, then you're probably going to spend a lot of time doing something that deep down you don't want to do. So that's why we want to get clear on your values, just because everything else becomes so much easier once you know what you value. Then we're going to talk about what's working well for you right now and also what's not working so well for you. And just like we talked about earlier, once you know that, once you know what's working for you, then you can do more of that and you can stop wasting your time on the things that aren't working. We'll also create a dream board. That means figuring out what your dreams look like, what you're hoping that you're going to do in your life, what you want basically. And we're going to create a visual reminder for you. I've got a dream board on my wall, and it's just a lot of pictures pinned up on the wall, and it's reminding me of the things that I want. Things that I want to feel like, things that I want to do, things that I want to accomplish. And once I have that there, it's a reminder like, this is what you want, this is what you're working for. We also want to make sure that you set some specific goals. And that might sound a little bit scary and over the top, but once you know what you want, you can create a plan and you can make that happen. That can be in your life, in your business, probably both. I would say you want goals to reflect both. And it can be anything from how much money you want to make to how many clients you want to have to buying a new house to having a bigger family. It can be anything you want. And then finally, you want to outline your calendar. And that does not mean that you're going to detail out everything you're going to do a year from now, but it just means that you can block off time to do things that you want to do. If you've planned time to do something, you're so much more likely to do it. And let's go into detail a little bit more when it comes to this final step of actually creating that plan. Once you know what you want and once you know what your goals are, you need to figure out what it will take to actually make it happen. So, if your goal is to double your revenue in the next 12 months, you need to see what it'll take to make that happen. And that could be you need to increase your prices, getting more bookings, or maybe a combination. That means that you need to set aside time to update your new prices, set aside time to do more marketing, maybe even set aside time to learn more about marketing. If your goal is to have more time with your family, then okay, how can you make that happen? Do you want to make sure you're not working weekends? Do you want to make sure that you are having time off in your evenings? Do you want to have a day off every single week so you can spend that with your family? Only you can decide, but once you know what's important to you, then you can create a life that looks more like that. Along the way, it's also important to do some regular check ins to see how your plan is going along and what you're doing in terms of like reaching your goal. Is that going well, or do you need to make some shifts? We'll go into depth into all of this in the live workshop series, and I think you should join so we get to do this work together. Go to ingvildkolnes.com/mini course and get your ticket now. It's available in both Norwegian and English, so come and hang out. Thanks for listening to Sustainable Photography. Head over to Instagram at Ingvild Kolnes to tell me what you want future episodes to be all about. Check out the show notes over at ingvildkolnes.com/podcast. You can learn more about the Sustainable Photography program and sign up for the waitlist there. To get more of this content, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your support makes all the difference. Talk soon.